friends, Goddess of Awesome here, and I wanted to make a video to clarify something I said in a different video. I'm not going to tell you which video that was, but I basically mentioned something to the effect of police officers being bad, and I wanted to amend that statement, and I wanted to clarify what I truly feel about police officers in general. Okay? So police officers are invaluable to our society, right? They are so necessary. They are peacekeepers. You know, they're civil servants. They're persons who are law enforcers. You know, we need that. We need people who are brave and bold and daring and courageous to stand up for the innocent, right? To stand up for those who need them, to be that shield against danger, against darkness, against true bad people, you know? So cops are not bad people, you know? They don't make the laws. They're not lawmakers. They're law enforcers, you know? I mean, a sliver of irritation with police officers would be when they don't uphold the law themselves with simple things like using their blinker, you know? Seen one just yesterday talking on his cell phone as he drove. You know, those are things that we could get pulled over for. And some police officers don't abide. You know, I honestly think that a police officer should be the role model, right? They should be setting the standard, you know, of what our positive behavior should be. So I think they should be using their blinkers every time they change lanes, you know, or use the, you know, most of them have modern vehicles, so use the hands-free things for cell phone conversations, you know, so that when we see them, when the average citizen sees them, they are that model of impeccable behavior that it seems to be what they enforce and what all, you know, contributing members of society should really adhere to, you know. So I just want to say that police officers are not bad people. So there can be laws that are unfair, like what just happened with all the sex workers, that big umbrella, you know, the FOSTA law. It doesn't really, it's too general, you know, it's too broad. It doesn't give room for the consensual people. See, police officers are human beings also. And I have seen my fair share of police officers as clients. Imagine that, you know. There's no person in any private business sector who's immune to needing our services or seeking the services of a sex worker at some point in their life, you know. Not all persons or patrons or clientele come to see a sex worker on a regular basis. You know, the people who come see you weekly, those are gifts. They're very infrequent and unusual people. Most persons, I think, average on maybe once a month, once every few months. Some are once a year people. Some dabbled in it once and might not ever go back for 5 years or more. Or maybe they tried it once, a hand job session or a full service session or a T-girl session, whatever it is, and then they don't ever try it ever again, you know? So there's different levels of frequency that people would come see a sex worker, and certainly police officers are not immune to seeking our services. You know, they're not bad people. They're people who have chosen to have a very difficult job, you know, and they deal with basically the scum of the earth, right? They're dealing with people who are breaking laws and some who are career criminals, you know. So I understand police officers can get a little jaded a little bit. Horsey world, there's flies. They can be jaded from having always dealt with unsavory people, right? The undesirables of society. That's who police officers frequent. They have frequent interactions with people like that, you know. I would say, you know, if I could speak upon myself and for the few people who I know are sex workers, we're peaceful people. You know, we're not thieves. We're not violent. You know, we're not corrupt in the sense of trying to commit fraud or trying to manipulate in a negative way. You know, most sex workers are really quiet and private. You wouldn't even know we're a sex worker unless you sought us out and you discovered us that way. You know, in society, when I go out in society, I believe that most people probably don't know that I'm a hand job specialist, that I've mastered the craft of hand jobs, sensual massage therapy. They don't need to know. I don't outwardly advertise that. I don't talk about it. You know, I don't wear it on my sleeve. I'm not running around in clothing that would suggest anything. You know, I once knew a full-service girl as an acquaintance, and she had everything covered up. I mean, she looked like a secretary or a librarian. You know, a very conservative librarian who would have everything, almost like a nun, just covered up, you know. She didn't want anyone to know she was a full-service girl. Certainly there can be exceptions, right? Certainly you can have people who flaunt it. I mean, go take a walk on Santa Monica Boulevard or Hollywood Boulevard in West Hollywood, and you'll see all sorts of interesting things. Ass cheeks hanging out of long negligees, see-through negligees, short negligees. You know, it's interesting. You know, there's all sorts of people in life, you know. Adds flavor, makes the world go round. What do they say? Variety is the spice of life. So I just want to offer a correction to something I said in a video yesterday. And I realized it as I was saying it because I was trying to speak gingerly about it. And then I realized even more throughout the day, I'm like, man, I need to correct that. I don't think police officers are bad people. Most of them are exceptionally wonderful people doing a very hard job, you know. And if they're out there busting sex workers, unfortunately, if they're doing that, it's not... For the majority of them, it's just because it's part of their line of duty because of what the laws are. Oh my God, I should have silenced that phone. I hate my phone ringing. The other day I silenced it and it still rang, so I don't know what's up with that. Anyways, police officers are human beings, you know. I'm a humanitarian, so I love all people. And boy, you know, I served my brother with a restraining order. I mean, I didn't serve him personally, but my brother was served a restraining order just a few days ago. And when I dropped off the police, you know, portion to the police station, you know, I looked at each and every one of them in the eyes who was in the station, met them with my, you know, nod of the head, acknowledging them. I am happy police officers exist. You know, they are necessary. You know, my brother forcefully entered my house. Today's Saturday, Monday, almost a week ago. And I had to call the cops. I didn't want to. Lord knows I did not want to do that. You know, I'm not trying to have extra interactions with police officers, but I truly needed them. I was in fear for my life, you know, and my brother wasn't going to leave, you know. He was very forcefully, verbally violent, you know, up in my space, you know, telling me that my house belongs to him. My brother's severely psychologically disturbed and extremely delusional. So I couldn't get him to leave without the help of police officers. You know, the minute my brother was confident that I was on the phone with them, that is when he made his exit. He knew he was in the wrong, as much as he demanded and insisted that everything in my house is his. He thinks he owns my house. He thinks he owns the leasing company I pay my rent to. My brother is severely delusional and highly psychologically disturbed. So police officers are amazing people. You know, you can definitely get some of them. Some might be on a power trip, right? Severe A-type personalities who enjoy intimidating others. There could be some people like that in that field. Those particular individuals I would call a bully with a badge. It's what it is, you know. When they use their position to bully citizens, I would call that bully with a badge, you know. But a lot of police officers I've ever come in contact with have been extraordinary people, even some of the ones who've arrested me, you know. If I wouldn't, the times I have been arrested, this is my suggestion to any of you out there, sex worker or not. If you ever get arrested or on the fringe of being arrested, surrender to it. Just be cool, you know? You don't need to act all stupid like you're gonna get away, or you're gonna verbally challenge them, or you're gonna physically challenge them, or whatever. I would consider that getting tangled in barbed wire. You know, once you're caught in barbed wire, why in the world would you struggle? You're gonna weave the thorns in further. You're gonna hurt yourself more if you resist them. So the few times I've ever been arrested, I've definitely have abided instantly, you know. Most of them, I think, were shocked to come across someone like me, because I didn't put up a fight. I didn't give them any verbal grief, you know. I just went with it. My most recent arrest was in 2015, and my public defender said that the police officers who arrested me told the judge that I was just amazing. That I was completely, what's the word I'm looking for? I abided by their words. You know, when they were taking me in, they had me in the car, you know, and now we're buddies, right? Now they're trying to be my friend because they know I'm not a threat. I wasn't a threat, you know. And now they're trying to ask me buddy questions. So, how many do you do a day? And what is it like? And da-da-da-da. And blah, 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 blah. And it was like, okay now, cool. You know, I'm glad you feel like you can be my friend, you know, but you got cuffs on me right now. You're taking me in, so I'm not gonna divulge any information, you know. There was one time I got popped in LA, 2011, I think, beginning of 2011. I had no money. I was doing out calls. I was traveling a lot then, and I didn't have a house. I was just here temporarily because I was going to other towns and cities and states, and I decided to do an out call. I had no gas in my tank. I literally needed that appointment to get gas to get home, you know. And when I rolled into the hotel where I was supposed to meet this person, instantly my intuition was like, this is a perfect place for a sting operation. Can you believe it? Can you believe I thought that when I rolled in? And one of them wanted to meet me in the lobby for a drink. Instant red flag of, I mean, first of all, I didn't know he was a cop. The red flag wasn't that. It was a red flag of, oh, this is an idiot client. This is a client who I don't want to deal with. This is a time waster. I don't sit around in lobbies and have cocktails and conversations. He kept trying to get me to drink, and I kept resisting. I kept saying, no, thank you. I'm driving. No, thank you. I don't want to drink. Can we get upstairs now? Can we get the ball rolling? I'm not trying to sit here for 45 minutes conversing, getting to know you. To me, that's paid time. What are you going to do with your time? You just want to sit around here and talk? Well, then pay me my fee and let's sit around here and talk if that's what you want to do, you know? So he must have been new at the sting operation thing. And it was time to go, but he didn't take me up to the elevator. There was also a portion, it was a high rise, you know, hotel. There's also hotel rooms in the back, and he took me back that way. and it was like a dead end. Once you got up the stairs, there was a door. I remember walking up those stairs thinking, this is a sketchy place, you know. And the minute we almost got to the top, I was rushed, right? There's 2 officers who rushed up the staircase. Now, they weren't dressed. They were undercover. And I thought to myself, oh my God, I'm either going to get something bad's happening, like I'm going to get stabbed or kidnapped or you name it, you know. And turns out they were police officers, which was like, whew, oh man, of all the bad things to happen, that's the least worst, you know. That was the least worst. I left fully functional. All my cells were in the right spot, you know. I wasn't bleeding. I wasn't severely wounded. I wasn't beaten to death. I wasn't drawn, you know, wrapped up in rope and thrown into a freaking who knows what. You know what I mean? There's so many variables that could have happened. So they were like young. They were in their late 20s, early 30s, and they were very kind, you know. They let me go. They gave me a court date. They cited me, but they didn't take me down to the station. They didn't give me a mugshot. They didn't do anything like that. There was nothing spoken about. We didn't speak about any kind of sexual activity. There was no money exchanged. There was nothing. The guy, like I said, he must have been new, the one who was trying to get me to drink with him at the bar, you know. Because we were talking about life. I was telling him about the book I was working on, that I'm working on a project to get myself out of the industry, you know. I've been working on that book for a long time. So, you know, when I went down to the court, you know, they never filed. They never filed that. So I didn't have a hearing. I got some kind of proof that I showed up, but wasn't that amazing of them? How kind of them. That's LAPD right there. Vice. They had bigger fish to fry. I wasn't being a scuzzy, sleazy, you know what I mean? I wasn't any of that. I was a classy chick, you know, who just polished her nails to go on this thing. I have my puppy in the car, who, if they took me down, what am I going to do with my dog, you know? Plus, I had 0 gas in my tank, and I drove home on 0 gas, and thank God I made it. It wasn't really home. I was staying at my sister's for a brief second, and after that, I packed up the bag, and I got out of state, you know, to a better territory. So I just want to say police officers are not bad. You know, they're valuable and they're necessary. And right now it stinks because there's a law written that makes us targets, right? That targets the sex worker in an unjust way. And unfortunately, police officers are only doing their job, right? They're only following the law, the way the law is written. They don't have any control over that, you know? So I don't want to say that police officers are bad people. They're not bad people. They're wonderful people, most of them. Most of them. You can definitely get some bad eggs here and there. But that's true for any business sector, any private business sector across the board. You can get some bad eggs. You can get bad doctors. I went and seen a Medi-Spa doctor, and I was drunk, and he took advantage of me. He sold me everything in the store. If my eyes look funny at all, it's because he did permanent eye filler on me that I did not need as a 34-year-old. I was drunk as a skunk. I mean, does that mean that the legal papers that I signed, that the consensual treatment, should those be null and void? I think so. I wasn't in my right mind, you know? No tattoo artist would have touched me in that state. So you can get bad doctors, you can get bad lawyers, you can get bad plumbers, you can get bad teachers, right? Some teachers are pedophiles, you know? So being a bad person has a lot of range, doesn't it? I would say in general, police officers are not bad, they're good. And I'm sorry I ever said that in the previous video I made for you. I didn't mean it that way. It just came out that way, but I didn't mean it like that. And that's why I'm making this video. You know, I don't wish any of us to be arrested. Every time I see someone get pulled over on the side of the road, I feel so sorry for them, you know? I feel sorry for any sex worker who gets busted, especially if she's minding her own business and she's not walking around the street corner. Now, if you're walking around the street corner and you're picking up your people that way, it's a little sketchy. It's really sketchy, actually. How do you know they're going to be safe? You know, you don't know. I mean, there's a lot of ways not to know you're going to be safe anyways, but people who generally email you first or call, make an arrangement to meet with you, set an appointment, those people might be a little more mentally together since they're going out of their way to make an appointment rather than just the spontaneous, let's go pick up that chick on the street, you know? I imagine the girls who work the street make a lot less than girls who answer their phone. I don't know. That's just my assumption. Okay, so that's all I know. That's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to clear the air that I do not think that police officers are bad people. I think they're absolutely wonderful people, most of them, you know, and they're valuable to us. They're invaluable to society. We need them. If we didn't have police officers, we would have a lot of chaos happening. You know, there'd be a lot of hurt people. There'd be, you know, murderers running around rampant. There would be thievery happening more and more, carjackings, you know, a lot of unfortunate things. And so isn't it fortunate that we have a system, a society that has police officers? If we're ever in dire need, we can call them and they'll come be our heroes. Police officers are heroes, as are your firemen, you know. I've seen my fair share of police officers. I don't know how many I can name right now, but I know I've seen a retired police chief in New York. Can you imagine that? A retired police chief. I've seen a parole officer in Central California. I've seen retired state troopers in the Carolinas. I've seen a deputy sheriff before in one of my favorite towns. I'm not going to say it. I've seen him 3 times before he divulged to me that he was a deputy. When he was face down the 3rd time I seen him, he starts going through the list. You're not a crack addict. You're not this. You're not strung out on drugs. You're not that, you know, all these bad things you would associate to a sex worker, you know. You're not, I mean, the list was long, you know, and then at the end he's like, and you actually enjoy your work, and you're okay with it, and you're mentally sound, and you're stable. I mean, yeah, keep it rolling. This is exactly what I am. What else, you know? I didn't know he was a deputy. I did not know that, you know. When he went to walk out the door, he was like, and be careful. I'm like, I always am. He's like, and just so you know, we don't work on these days, and we don't work on those days. And I was like, what? And he opened his wallet, and he flashed me his ID, his deputy sheriff ID, and my jaw, no joke, went like this. Just dropped down to the ground, literally stayed down there. You know, I was in so much disbelief that I reached out to touch it. You know, I couldn't believe it. I just wanted to touch it, maybe even hold it up to my face and be like, son of a gun, I can't hardly believe it. I've seen him 3 times, you know. When I went to touch it, snap, he shut that wallet shut so quick. He didn't let me touch it. Slipped it back in his pocket. I never seen him again. That was the last time I seen him. But, you know, they come see us too. You know, they're human beings. I've seen other ones. I had one come into my hotel room and he opened up every single closet door and looked behind every single curtain, and you know, I mean, for a second I'm like, who the hell, this guy's freaking ultra paranoid. Well, I have nothing to hide, so let's let him do his thing, you know, ease his mind. And he's like, is anybody here? Who else is with you? And I'm like, nobody, I work all by myself, you know, independent. He's like, okay, well, you know, just have to make sure because, you know. And then later he let me know he was a cop. So he had to make sure that he wasn't going to get busted and have his name all over the papers for coming, coming to get a hand job. How innocent is that? That is the most innocent thing ever. If you're going to be naughty, if you're going to take a walk on the wild side, then getting a sensual massage from an anonymous person who operates out of a high degree of integrity and gives a quality massage and has set up in a really nice high quality place and is running their show as a class act, then I don't think there's anything wrong with that, or however you run your act, however your show is, there's no shame in coming to see a sex worker. Sex workers we are so needed. We are true therapists for a lot of people. So hopefully these laws get amended. Hopefully, they'll fix it so that the consensual people aren't having to be so worried, In the meantime, we might have to keep, low profile, watch out for yourself, make sure you don't get popped, or stung. But, so that's all I have to say. Police officers aren't bad people. They do a very hard job. And they don't make the rules, they just enforce them. So hopefully the rules will change for us and we'll be able to survive and work and live, But, so anyways, that's all. Police officers are not bad people. There are only bad laws. Right now there's a really awful law called FOSTA. And hopefully that will get changed, But anyways, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you for being here with me today. If you found any validity or value in this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to know more, please subscribe. And in the meantime, bright blessings and be well.